Hi, everyone. I believe people must have started to join the call now. We'll give it a few minutes and then I'll start the session that we have for you today. I'll be talking to you a bit more about BDO, the firm that I work for, and what programs we have to offer, what the application process is. So just another minute or so, and then we will make a start. Right, everyone. So I guess we'll give it a start then. So my name is Abs. I'm also known as Abdullah. I work in BDO as a resourcing advisor, which means I look after the recruitment for all of our early in career programs, which covers our school leaver program, as well as our summer programs and the graduate ones as well. So today I'm just going to give you a bit of talk about what BDO are, the different teams that we recruit for, and what the application process itself is. And I'll be happy to take your questions at the end. So without further ado, we'll make a start. So if none of you know what BDO is, what we are, so we are the fifth largest accounting firm in the world, and also the fifth largest accounting firm in the UK as well. So in terms of the world, we've got a $10.3 billion firm. We are present in 167 countries and have about 91,000 staff all around the world. But let's move closer to home. So in the UK, we've got 6,000 staff and continue to grow. We have 18 different offices within the UK. So dependent on where you're based, there's always an office nearby where you can apply. So these are the 18 different locations that we recruit in at BDO. And we have about 350 partners that are leading these teams across them, which I will focus in as we go along. Now, before I tell you more about the streams that we have, this is something really important, especially when you're making an application with us, because this is the BDO strategy. We call it the build strategy, what makes BDO, which is our priority for the next few years as well. Brand, obviously, having a strong brand is important for any company, any firm. Unifying culture, something very close to BDO, because we want to have an inclusive working environment so that you can be yourself, and we want you to, regardless of your backgrounds or where you come from, we don't look at that. So that's why we're a very inclusive employer. I is for international, because we're in 167 countries, so we've got a global mindset and a global reach. So that is one of our strengths, leading our markets. Because we're the fifth largest accounting firm, we want to strive to continue to grow. And the reason why we're number 5 at the moment is because we lead in what we do. And digital mindset, this is a testament for that, because in a pre-COVID world, we would have been doing this face to face, but digital mindset in every aspect of work, we need to think about how to work digitally, right? And that is something BDO is striving towards. Speaking on the U from unifying culture, these are some of the employee networks that we have at BDO. So we've got a Jewish community, we've got an Islamic network, a blend community for the LGBTQ community that we have. We've got a BAME network, which is very active with a lot of events that we do. and BDO Inspire, which is for women in accounting. And there are plenty more of networks that we have across BDO UK. So if you feel you're part of a certain fraternity, you have allies in the firm. And it's really good for you to feel that you're connected and that you can be yourself at work. Now, I will talk to you about the 4 streams that we recruit in. It's advisory, it's audit and assurance, tax, and business services and outsourcing. Now, what exactly are these different streams? I'll tell you a bit more about that. So let's start with advisory. So advisory teams usually work with their clients to look at different solutions to a wide range of financial and business challenges. Okay, so for example, as you can see on the screen, there are different teams. There's valuations, there's business restructuring. So for example, if there's a company or a business that's gone bust or gone bankrupt, this is where a business restructuring team can come and help in to see if what can be done to bring that business back on their feet again. You know, valuations, if there's a merger, if another firm is trying to buy another business, then trying to see what the value should be. So this is obviously in a nutshell, but advisory teams work towards advising their business and the clients on how they can do their business slightly better or how they can profit a bit more. So this team has about 1,600 employees in the UK and over 100 partners as well. Now, business service and outsourcing, from the 4 different streams that I had mentioned, is the smallest of the 4 teams, but does not mean that it's the least important, because the work that it does is extremely important. Now, what does business services and outsourcing mean? So to explain it to you in a nutshell, when there are some firms which are slightly smaller, who don't have their own accounting departments, who don't have their own finance departments, so BDO outsources that from them. So we essentially then do their bookkeeping, do their financial reporting, their booking records and everything, so that they can focus more on their business and leave the accounting and the financial aspects to BDO. So we've got dedicated teams that work on that. Global outsourcing, if they're business that is overseas as well, we can work with them too. There's financial reporting as well as business planning and advisory. So it's very, very niche, but it's just to allow those medium to smaller firms and businesses so that they can reach their true potential. Now, audit and assurance is the largest team that we have at BDO, which across the UK. What is audit? What does an auditor do, in case you're wondering? They look at financial statements, they look at the regulations, they try to see if it's what the firm is trying to show in their numbers is presented accurately, fairly. Are the rules being followed? Are the checkbooks matching, if it makes sense? So making sure that everything is compliant, right? There are different teams within audit that you can potentially work for. If you want to be very specific, they've got not-for-profit, which is basically doing audit for charities in the public sector as well, which can cover the NHS as well. You've got technology risk assurance, very niche, looking at cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. If that's your kind of thing, then technology risk assurance is for you. Financial services audit, very niche again. Financial services audit looks at banks, alternative finance, fintech companies, even insurance companies, either that's life insurance or non-life insurance. But then you've got brief audit as well. So if you're on our website and you see audit only, that basically means it's a range of different sectors: technology and media, natural resources, oil and gas. It could be anything. Audit has about 2,000 employees and about 122 partners. So this is our largest team that we have at BDO. Now we go on to the next team, which is tax. Now, tax advisors usually look at, it's all dependent on tax matters. So looking at the current law and tax, are the firms paying the tax that they should? So you can have international tax if you've got a firm that works overseas, to make sure that they're compliant with different countries' regulations. Private client services, if it's a very rich individual, sometimes they handle clients such as that as well. Corporate mergers and acquisitions, if 2 firms are going into a merger, or if there's a bigger firm acquiring another, there's a lot of tax work that needs to go through it. So BDO advisors in tax will make sure that all the regulations are being followed. So in a nutshell, these are the 4 streams that we have. Now I'll tell you more about the different programs that we have to offer. To start off with the 2 main ones for now, one is the graduate program, the other is the apprenticeship one. So the graduate program is 3 years long. It's for those candidates that have gone to university. And once they've graduated, they can come and work at BDO. Depending on which team or stream that they choose, depends which professional qualification they will be studying. So the professional qualification would either be an ACA, for example, which is for audit, or the CTA for tax, for example. Now, it's a level 7 qualification. So whether you are a graduate or if you are an apprentice, a school leaver, you will qualify within 3 to 4 years with a level 7 qualification, which is equivalent to that of a master's degree. Okay. So in a graduate program, it's 3 years long. Okay. You need to have a minimum 2-2 degree if you've gone to university, 3 A levels, any subjects apart from general papers and extended projects. If you haven't done A levels and you've done an equivalent, that's fine as well. The grade should be A star to C minimum, any subjects. And at GCSE level, we only look at English and maths. It used to be A's and C's back when I was doing GCSEs, but now it's numbers, I believe. So it's 9 to 4 in maths and English only. The school leaver program, which is also the apprenticeship program, is 4 years long instead of 3 years. Why it's 4 years? Because in your first year, you'll be studying your AAT level 4, right? And as soon as you're done, the next 3 years, you study the professional qualification that the graduates will also be studying at the same time as them. And after the 4 years, you qualify with a master's, basically a level 7 qualification. The minimum requirement remains the same, 3 A levels, A star to C, and then GCSE and English and maths at 9 to 4. I will take more questions when we go to the end. I'm sure you'll have some questions regarding that. But then there are some summer programs that we have as well at BDO, which you would obviously, most of you would be interested in applying to. So for school students, we have something known as the Explore BDO program. This is aimed at year 10 and year 11 students who meet the social mobility criteria because we want to be an inclusive employer. This is for those students who belong to that specific background, where we allow them to network with senior members from the BDO teams, different teams that is, so that if you do well, you are then given a fast track to come in as an intern the year after, which leads me nicely onto year 12. So if you're in year 12, because that was for year 10s and years 11s, if you're in year 12, what you can apply for is the virtual insight week. Now, the virtual insight week is basically the internship. So before COVID, when the offices were open, we would have a 6-week summer internship, but now we have a more condensed version, which is 1 week long, in which you will basically, year 12 students will get a chance to have a work experience with the teams that they would like to work for. The idea is that if you're successful, you will be placed an offer to join that as an apprentice once you are done with your A levels the year after. So it's fantastic because that means when you're starting year 13, you already know that you have a job waiting for you. Isn't that brilliant when you're doing your A levels? So if you've gone to university, we've got the Black Heritage Insight program. So this is again 1 week long in the summer. It's basically for first year students at university who come from a Black heritage background. And if they're successful, they get placed an offer to come in as an intern the year after. Okay. And again, as the school leavers have an insight week, which is called an internship, graduates as well. So if you're at university, going into your penultimate year, you get an insight week where you will go through the exact same things a school leaver is going through with the team that you want to apply for. If you're successful at the end of it, you will get an offer to join as a graduate at that particular team. Imagine going into your final year of university knowing that you already have a job at hand, so you can now worry about the citation instead. So it's really handy. It's if you want, you can take a picture of this slide because these are the programs that we have that are already live. So you should definitely start applying. Which leads me very nicely onto the next point, which is the application process. So the application process basically is 3 main steps. Okay, there's an online application form that you will fill out, which only asks for your grades from if you've gone to university, if you're at A levels and your GCSEs. That's the main information. They want to make sure that you've got the minimum eligibility to apply. Once you're done with that, you go on to the next stage, which is the online testing and video interview stage, which is something we call internally as the Hypo I. Now, what that is a joint online test where you will have a bit of numerical reasoning, which is like GCSE maths, bit of situational strengths. What are you likely to do in a situation? So you rank in order in that situation what you would do. So you should definitely be yourself. Once you're done with that, in the same sitting, you will have a video interview where you will be asked 4 questions, one after the other, and you'll have to record yourself answering. You get 2 minutes per question. And these questions are strengths-based. So they're looking at what are you likely to do in a future scenario, not looking at what you've done previously. Because if you're in school or if you're in university, yes, the chances are you may not have had those experiences, but that shouldn't put you at a disadvantage because we want you to give us more examples. If you're successful there, you come to the final step of the process, which is the assessment center, which is a half-day event where you have an interview, a written task, a group discussion, and a presentation, which I will be covering very shortly with you. If you're successful from that, happy days, you get an offer. Okay. Now, what is the Hypo-I? So like I mentioned, it looks at the numerical reasoning, looks at your verbal intellect, your behavioral assessment, and everything. These are the 4 main pillars that we're looking for at the end of the day. Your applied intellect, your learning agility, right? How quickly you can learn. Digital mindset, as I mentioned. Are you somebody who's change agile as well? Because we're working in a new way of working now, post-COVID. Then you've got a creative force. Can you think outside the box? And most importantly, nowadays, grit. Are you resilient? Are you passionate about giving the clients and your internal stakeholders the best you've got? So we all need to be resilient, especially in these times that we're in. So this is something that we're trying to look at in the online testing stage. A few tips for you to prepare for the online test. Make sure that when you're doing it, you're sitting in a quiet room. You have a pen, paper, and a calculator at hand. You're not distracted. Keep the distractions away. That cup of tea can wait. If your favorite football team's playing, that can wait as well. Make sure that you practice as well. If you go online, there are lots of practice tests available. Practice makes perfect, and trust me, it will really help. The video interview, make sure you're dressed like you would be for a normal interview as well. Yes, it's different doing it from in a face-to-face setting, but this is obviously video. Record yourself, try and practice it, see how you come across in a camera, because not everyone is confident. Sometimes you can be shy as well, feels a bit awkward talking to a camera. Try it, do some practice runs to see how you're coming across, because it comes in really handy as well. But the most important thing is eye contact. Make sure you're looking up, not down when you're doing the video interview, because it shows that you're really enthusiastic and engaged if you look up instead of down. So these are some tips for you to know for the online testing and the video interview stage. So the assessment center, these are the things that you will be expected to do at the assessment center when you're there. Just to clarify, an assessment center and all this process is the same whether you're applying for the internship, school leaver program, or the graduate program. Everyone goes through the same process. Now, you have a welcome session in the morning, so you get a bit of an icebreaker. You have a group exercise because we want to see how you work as a team virtually. This kind of sets you up for the rest of the day, because then you have a presentation. So you basically are given a brief. You then present to one-on-one to a manager by sharing your screen on Microsoft Teams, and you have a bit of a SWOT analysis on it. You have a one-on-one interview with a partner or a senior manager from the team that you've applied to work for. And this interview is strengths-based. So it's not looking at your technical skills. You do not need to know what audit is or tax is. You don't need to have studied accounting or finance or maths at A levels. You could have studied anything. You could have studied history, politics, anything you like. The idea is they want to know what you're likely to do in the future, not so much before, if it makes sense. But if you have examples to give, you should give them, but come prepared knowing why you've applied for that role. Okay, it's not about knowing what audit does, but why do you want to work in audit? Why do you want to work in tax, for example? So that is something you should definitely know before you apply. And obviously, why BDO? Okay, these are things that are really important. And then to end the day, you have written exercise. It is for us to see your written communication skills, to see if you are as good speaking verbally or written. Now, as you can see, it's a whole day. We're seeing you in different scenarios. We're seeing you in a group setting, we're seeing you in a one-on-one setting, and we're seeing you in a written task as well. So it gives you a fair chance to show your skills. So even if you don't have a very strong group exercise, you have the rest of the day to make up for it. Regardless of the outcome, you're given a call and given detailed feedback. If you're applying for one of the roles that I look after, you'll get a detailed feedback call from me, regardless of the outcome of your application, so you can work on it. Okay. So this is what a virtual assessment center would be like. And some hints and tips for you to be aware of, like I mentioned already, do your research on the role as well as BDO. It really does help. If you're in a group discussion, remember, work together as a group. It's good to be speaking, yes, but it's also good to be an effective listener, right? It's a two-way communication when you're in a group. Make sure that when you're presenting, all the objectives are met. Okay, so that's really, really key. Dress like you would for a face-to-face interview, because you need to look professional when you're at these assessment centers. Yes, now we're all working virtually, so you can see that sometimes if you don't have a background on like I do, if you're in your bedroom and everything, just make sure that your background is professional. So if you don't get to blur your screen, then make sure you're doing the interview or the assessment from a room where it's free of distractions as well. It'll be handy for you as well. Make sure that the spelling and grammar is correct when you're writing the written task. And most importantly, be yourself, because you need to be yourself for BDO to accept you and for you to accept BDO. It's a two-way assessment. You are trying to assess if BDO is the company for you, and we are going to assess if you are the right fit for us. But the most important thing is be yourself, because you would want any firm to accept you for who you are. So that's a whistle-stop tour of BDO, what roles we have, what programs we have, and what the application process is. If you have any questions, obviously you can ask now, but after the session, you can email our early in career email address. And on LinkedIn, you can all find me with that name, Abdullah Amir. You can call me Abs as well. So now I would open the floor for any questions that you may have now. Feel free to please ask away.
Hi, Abs. Thanks very much for that talk. That was really, really useful. As we've just said, if you guys do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A function now, and we can run through a few of them now. If not, there is the email on the screen as well, which you're able to use. So someone's just asked if there's a way they can access this presentation. We, from our end, are recording it, so we will be able to send that out to attendees post-event. I don't know if this information is also available on your website or something else.
Yes, it is. It's a good question. It is on the website, and there's a lot of videos on the website as well. So you'll see a lot of resources on the programs as well as the application process as well. So yeah, so you should definitely check the website out.
Lovely. Doesn't seem to be any more questions coming in. Remember, guys, you can use the Q&A function, and we can answer them live, make the most of Abs being here.
Yep. Because chances are, if you do apply and you come to the assessment center, you'll definitely be meeting me virtually. So if you have any questions with regard to the application process, please feel free to ask. Even if it's about the programs, summer programs, the apprenticeship program, anything, feel free to ask anything.
So someone's asked, what are you specifically looking for when you interview someone? Quite a broad question, that one.
That is a broad question. That's a good question. I mean, as cliche as it may sound, but remember when I said be yourself. So being yourself that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a candidate who is being genuine. Okay. Now, what that means is when you're coming into an interview, don't say the things that you expect the interviewer to hear, right? That, oh, I love maths or I love finance. If you do love maths and finance, it will show, right? But if you don't, these interviewers can tell when you're not being yourself. Okay, so remember doing that, and also do your research. That is very, very key. Research doesn't mean that when you're asked what are BDO's values, boom, you know all 4 or 5 of them by heart, and you know the stats. Oh, you're in 167 countries. No, be authentic. Why BDO? Was it something that you saw on the website that you liked? Do you come to the career event such as this? You really liked something resonated with you. What was it? Because everyone can read out the stats from the website, you see. So that's why be genuine, and when you are being yourself, that is when you have the best chance to be successful. So that's the best tip I can give you at the interview stage.
Lovely, thank you very much for that, Abs. No more have come through, so I suppose we can leave it there. Thank you again very much for your time. I'm sure the students will find that really, really helpful.
Thanks. Thank you for your support. And yes, if there are any more students on the call, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or email my team, and we'd be happy to take any questions that you may have later on as well.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Abs, and thank you everyone who's attended this talk. We have a couple more apprenticeship talks coming up now if you'd like to attend those. And if not, I hope you found this session really beneficial. Thanks again, Abs. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.